is your duty? To serve the Emperor's will. What is the Emperor's will? That is my mankind.
So can you feel the rain through the visor? Fight for Imperium. If you never want to bow, better rise up. Charge to the weariness. I feel every bone I'm breaking. So I'm taking. If I die, we already won. Put my life on the line for Imperium. For Imperium. I can't spend another second craving better days. I'll shred my skin down to the bone so I could get away and leave the blood of all my brothers as a barricade. I really hate the way I caused it. Might is never right, but I train just like I want it to be. Hate the human in the eyes I see across from me. I'll break another mirror cause I'll never see it clear. I hate to drown the fear. Trust in the Emperor to bend the planet's lost and innocent. We are crusaders in the flesh. Our justice stands. So can you feel the rays through the visor? Fight for Imperium. If you never want to bow, better rise up. Charge to the weariness. I feel every bone I'm breaking. So I'm taking. If I die, we already won. Put my life on the line for Imperium. For Imperium. Age too dark, so now I come for the light. My comrades save my bones that I fight. This chaos force you move or you die. But never hide in the hive. Blackout. I see the stars through the ceramide. Crash out and let the part of me that's terrified back out. I trust the light and the steel. Can't go back now. I can't go back now. Trust in the Emperor to bend the planet's lost and innocent. We are crusaders in the flesh. Our justice stands. So can you feel the rays through the visor? Fight for Imperium. If you never want to bow, better rise up. Charge to the weariness. I feel every bone Canada. We're going to be making lots of Canadian jokes tonight, but it's going to be very tasteful. I wish I had some Canadian bacon. Anyways, hi, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to the first of two Grapple Guru. Oh my God. We are the first of two Grapple Gurus reviews this week, but we are here this evening with Grapple Gurus with the newly formed Maple Marks team.
which, you're like, why or do you have a new team? And why are you called the Maple Marks? Well, I'm glad you asked, because tonight here on Grapple Gurus, I and Will, my lovely co-host across TNA and other places, we are here to review the first event for this newly revitalized Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. So tonight we present Grapple Gurus, and we are here to review MLP's Forged and Excellence review, a 2-night event that showcased a lot of Canadian wrestling. So we love Canadians up in this household. So, of course, I am your host, Mikey. Joining me this evening is the Yukon Yeti himself, Mr. Will. I love how he has a costume for everything. I wish I was cool like that. So I'm happy to have you here, Will. And I know there was a lot of compromise that went behind the scene, but I'm super happy you are here because, I wanted to at least review this event and get people be to watch this, because we will give our ups and downs and our critiques as we go on through the pay-per-view. But I have to say, I definitely think Forged and Excellence is definitely worth a watch for sure. But we're hoping to see more for it, which we'll talk about later in the evening. So I'm excited. I can't wait. So let's just jump straight into it. So this was a 2-night event. So if it seems that we're kind of speedy through certain parts, it's because we have 20 matches to go over. And unlike Andrew and I, when we do GCWs and 2-night events, we're going to try to keep this thing to an hour and 15. Because
can I just say,
yes, go for it.
It was a 2-night. Yeah, it was a 2-night event, and it was so good. It was actually really good. However, I think it could have been a 1-night event and would have been just as good. Honestly, I really believe it. When I watched both of them, I was like, they could have. I mean, there was some stuff, and we'll get to it, but there was some stuff they could have not done.
Right.
And then just moved it all down.
Well, like I said too, and like I said to you in our little text message threads, I even said, I was like, I enjoyed both nights, but for me, night 1 was definitely a lot stronger than night 2.
Yeah, it was.
In terms of what we got, but nonetheless, it was fantastic. But we are going to be reviewing both Saturday and Sunday, so forgive us if we kind of speed through some matches, because nothing was inherent. Well, no, I take that back. Nothing was inherent. I was about to say nothing was inherently bad. There was some stuff that I didn't care for. I didn't think it. No, it was bad.
No,
it was bad. I'm not gonna
lie.
I'm not. The Yukon Yeti is going to keep me straight, even though I am not. But he is going to keep me in check tonight and be honest with my feelings, because we love Scott D'Amore. We love him so much, but even our faves are not beyond critique. And the critiques are actually good constructive criticism. And I think he knows that, but I digress. 2-night event. Let's jump in. So we're going to start off with night 1. I love creating graphics now. It's so much fun. So we're going to begin with night 1 of MLP, which opened up with a trios match. So we had basically Team Canada. Well, mostly everyone is Canadian, but we truly had Team Canada, because we had Josh Alexander from TNA, Stu Grayson, and El Phantasma, also known as ELP, who from New Japan. And they were taking on the team of Mr. Trevor Lee, who is Cameron Grimes, formerly known as Cameron Grimes in NXT, Rocky Azucar Romero, and from your favorite Taco Bell spot, Alex Zane. First of all, Alex Zane's intro bit and intro line is probably my favorite part. From your loco Taco Bell. Also, I love his mustache.
Funny.
I want it so badly. It's like,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
And so as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, this should probably be a fun match. And it exactly what it was. It was an opener that definitely got the crowd hype ready for the rest of night 1. And I'm like, I know most of the Canadian wrestlers are going to be winning this evening, so I'm not shocked. But look, Stu Grayson, I miss you. I need you to be back on my television screen more often. I mean, you were in AEW with Dark Order, but now you're kind of just doing the independent thing right now. But Stu Grayson, I love you so much. And ELP, you're fantastic. You have one of my favorite moves with the titty twister, where he literally just goes to somebody's nipples. It's hilarious. But of course, you know, Josh Alexander, I'm not going to lie, out of everybody here, the person I was excited to see the most because I have missed him on my screen was Trevor Lee, formerly known as Cameron Grimes from NXT. So this lovely gentleman in the middle, kind of front and presenter on Rocky Romero and Alex Zane's team. I thought this was a fun match. This is a good back and forth. Everybody got to highlight what they do. But ultimately, Team Canada, which is Josh, Stu, and ELP, do pick up the victory here. Papa Osu, oh no, the Yukon Yeti. You have so many monikers now. You have so many faces. You're like a sphere. No, but the Yukon Yeti, Will, how did you feel about our opener?
I really liked it. I thought it was a good opener for night one. I thought it really kind of got me excited about what was to come. I was like, oh, okay, well, if it's all going to be like this, then we're going to have a hell of a night. And this thing was 3 hours long, just so everybody knows. And I was like super into it at this point. So I really like this. And of course, you know, I love Josh Alexander, of course. I think he's a fantastic wrestler. I'm not, again, and I was telling Mikey off camera, is that there are a lot of people here that I don't know because I don't really watch any of the other sort of, you know, organizations. But
how dare you?
I know. But like I know
osmosis,
Josh,
you through the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod family
that's
here.
Basically it. I mean, I knew Josh Alexander, and I know Rocky Romero, and that was it. I didn't know any of the others. But I really like this. I really liked this a lot. And I think this kind of goes along with the rest of the first night and the second night, is the idea that all the matches were so brutal. Like, they were brutal. I was kind of surprised because, you know, they're Canadian, but you know, Canadians are usually not so brutal, but they were pretty brutal.
Be like, sorry about it.
Yeah, I was like, sorry about that. Could you come on a PRA and do some wrestling? I used to live up near Canada. So I know how to do that.
See, I would do something like that, but I would get in so much in trouble.
Yeah, you're not white enough. Sorry.
It's wow, how dare you? Damn, that's okay. I prefer to be brown anyways.
That's fair.
Be like, fuck you, Shorzy. No, I'm just kidding. That's why I extend to Canadian. See, and that's why I can't say it. Anyways, see, Will is the fun person. He can do all the voices. I cannot. Though, if you want me to speak in Spanish, that's
true.
Like,
you can do Spanish. I cannot do that.
So
except
we have our trade-offs.
Taco burrito, baño.
Not to oversimplify it, and I don't want all my Latinos to come after me, but realistically, if you are a white person, there's only one phrase you truly need to know, and that is "Donde está el baño?" Like, where's the bathroom?
Where's the bathroom? Or, you know, what is it? ¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Oh my gosh. My goodness. But, yeah, just to close up our opening thoughts before we go too much of a tangent here. This is what happens when me and Will get together. Like, a lot of things get done, but also a lot of things go off the track so
off
fast.
The rails, real quick.
Off the rails. But this opener match was great. Josh, Stu, and ELP do pick up the victory. And this energy helps us establish that, all right, it's probably going to be this kind of night. So let's see what the rest of the night has to offer. So, okay, let's just get the elephant out of the room. I am familiar with Mr. QT Marshall of AEW and Nightmare Factory fame. And he is very, funny enough, he is Canadian, but I'm just like, sir, you are so ambiguous. Like, I have to read up on you. I think he is Canadian, but I think he also has some, you know, some sort of Spanish or Latin blood in him somewhere. It's just he's very white presenting. He is literally Homelander, like from The Boys. He is Homelander incarnate without being super racist. He is kind of a racist character. He's very Star Spangled Banner, dipped in chocolate kind of thing. But we had QT Marshall taking on one of our TNA folks who we don't see a lot of, but we love him anyways, and Bhupinder Gujar. And QT Marshall also had Harley Cameron at his side, who is also an AEW, whom I love dearly. QT Marshall's character irritates me, which means he does his job, because it grated my ear. He grated me. I was just like, I don't like you, QT, but that's what I'm supposed to do. You're not supposed to like him.
Which is good, because I did not like him at all.
No.
It
made me root for Bhupinder so much in this match, and I am so happy that he did pick up the win.
His teeth are way too freaking white.
Oh my gosh, right? I was just like you are.
When I was watching it, I was like, dude, close the mouth. You're freaking blinding me. It's like,
for real.
So gross. I'm sorry, he's gross. That character he has is gross.
It definitely is. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, you know what? Like, I love Bhupinder, but I'm going to be rooting for him so hard. I'm like, win the thing, Bhupinder. And then, by the end of it, I was just like, he lost. I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
I was so upset. The match itself was okay. I didn't think it was too special. Like, if I were to use terminology we use here at BC WrestlePod, this was a good television match. Yeah. I don't think it needed to be on a pay-per-view, but we love it's. So real. It's so interesting too, because we saw a lot of like brown representation, especially from the Hindu side of wrestling. And when we get to a certain Mr. Raj Desi, I was talking to Will the other day about it. He was like, known as the Maharaja in WWE, and they were pushing him from India. I'm like, sir, you are from Canada. Sit down.
So funny.
It's crazy. I was sad Bhupinder lost. QT won. But you know what? In night 2, Bhupinder would get his lick back, which we'll talk about when we get to night 2. But again, match wasn't horrible. I didn't think it was bad, but it felt like it did not need to be here, because this was more like a television match than a pay-per-view match. But shout out to Bhupinder. I love you, and I need TNA to utilize you more. That's all I need to say. Yukon Yeti, any extra you want to add outside of QT Marshall's perfect beef creek?
It sucked that they had to follow that opening act.
For reals. I'm just like, well, I guess it was smart to put you guys here, because if we had put you later in the night, I think I would have had some words. But QT Marshall wins. This would not be the last we see of Bhupinder and QT in the night and on night 2, but we'll get to that when we get there, because next, after this match, we get our first lady action here, and we get a fatal 4-way, which has some Canadian wrestlers. So there's some MLW representation too, and just independent wrestling scene. So this was a fatal 4-way, just a match to have a match. And this had Miss Laney Luck, Taylor versus Taylor Rising, versus Aurora Teves versus my personal favorite, Miss Kylie Ray.
I love her.
Kylie has been one of my favorites. And first of all, so before we talk about this match, I need to shout out the commentary team, because we had Don Callis of AEW, but we have one of my personal favorite ring commentators outside of Ian and Caprice on the Ring of Honor. We have Mauro Ronaldo, who used to do NXT back in the day during the Black and Gold era, and he is one of my favorite commentators. Like, his energy and his charisma and his excitement when he commentates these matches is just, it's so good, and I love it so much. So shout out to Mauro and Don Callis, because they were actually a really fun commentary team of the evening. And they made every match feel like it was super important, and when in reality, some of them were not. But back to this match. I love these 4 women. I am familiar with Taylor Rising. I'm not too familiar with Aurora and Laney. But of course, like I said, the one I'm most familiar with, because I love her gimmick and character and been following her for a couple of years now, is Kylie Ray. I love Smiley Kylie so much, and that is her moniker. Like, This match was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this.
I did too. I didn't know any of these women. And I fell in love with Kylie Ray like immediately. But I kind of tend to like those quirky characters. You know, the sort of fun, silly, but could wrestle type characters, that you don't expect a lot from them, but yet they show out. It's like, wow. Because I was like, oh, she's fun. She'll be a fun, sort of comic relief type thing. But no, she can actually wrestle, guys. I was kind of like, okay, all right, girl, you can be funny and like talented, like wrestling wise. So you tell them, you show them.
And sure enough, Smiley Kylie does
I
pick up the
know.
victory here, which I love because then we tell a story because Lainey technically had the match won, and then Kylie came in and stole the pin from her. And it was so funny the way that she got the pin too, like because Lainey was in ready to cover Taylor. Kylie comes in and kicks her, and then is exhausted from this match and just falls onto Taylor and inadvertently gets the pin for the 1, 2, 3. And she is so surprised and shocked that she won. And then this would set up what we would get for night 2, because later Lainey Luck would attack Kylie Ray with Harley Cameron. Then we would set up for our women's tag team match on night 2 with Lainey and Harley taking on Kylie Ray. And of course, later on, who we'll talk about in night 1 in Mio Yamashita, which girl, I love her so much. We'll talk more about her when we get to her match against Giselle. But I loved her so much. But Yukon Yeti, any additional thoughts to this before we move on?
Nope. I'm good.
Again, Smiley Kylie, we love you, and I love you so much. I'm so happy to see you here on my screen again. This match was awesome. So the funny thing was, originally this was just gonna be a fatal 4-way tag team match just cuz, and then literally the day of, the Jet Setters, which is Kushida and Kevin Knight, decided to put their IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships on the line for this. So then this became a championship match. So in this fatal 4-way, we have a whole plethora of characters. So first we have our champions, the Jet Setters, which is Kushida and Kevin Knight of TNA fame, which is amazing. Then you also have the Rogue Squadron, which is made up of Rohit Raju and, of course, TNA wrestler, Sheldon Jean, who we haven't seen too much of, but we love it, versus the team of Aiden Prince and El Reverso. I'm like, what in the Uno reverse card is this name? Right. Like, I wish he came out as an Uno card, and then I would have actually been more. I was on board before, and I would have been through the roof with excitement.
Oh, absolutely.
And then taking on the most unique team, because I'm not too familiar with Brent Banks, but he was paired up with, well, fortunately and unfortunately, however you see it, with our personal favorite for TNA, Mr. Johnny Swinger. The swing man was back on my screen. I was like, Johnny,
which is so funny.
I love it. But man, this match flipping ruled.
It did. It was really good.
Everything, because a lot of these guys are like what you would consider cruiserweights. So there's a lot of high flying, there's a lot of speed involved, but also there were some good comedy spots. Johnny Swinger being Johnny Swinger. Can I just say, Rogue Squadron, was probably, outside of the Jet Setters, Rogue Squadron was probably my favorite team in this whole match, because they were running roughshod against everybody else for a good chunk of the middle portion of this match. And man, there was a lot of close finishes too. But ultimately, the Jet Setters do retain their championships. But this match ruled. Yukon Yeti. This was, we had some returning folks we know, some new folks here. Also, I need to figure out if there's any El Reverso merch, just because I like the name by itself. But how did we feel about this IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match?
I really liked this. I only know a couple of folks. Well, I say a couple of folks. I know the Jet Setters, and I know Johnny Swinger, of course. And
The
then
Swing
I know,
Man.
Yeah, then I know God, what's his name? Always escape me from Rogue Squadron.
Sheldon Jean.
Thank you. Gosh, bless America. I was like, it's something Sheldon. Yeah, and I know Sheldon Jean, but that's all I knew. And I didn't even know that he was in a tag team. I was just like, oh wow, that's cool. I didn't know Aiden, Prince, or El Reverso at all. I didn't know either of them.
El Uno Reverso.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. But I really liked it. It was good. I mean, it was, and man, all I have to say is, the Jet Setters, man, they can work well together. They are so good.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm always begging TNA to have Kevin Knight come on more than he does right now. And I'm just like, bring Kevin Knight in because he is amazing. And so is Kushida. I mean, we get Kushida on a consistent basis because he is part of the TNA roster. But, bring Kevin Knight. Like, Kevin is great. And honestly, TNA, if you really want to, bring the Rogue Squadron in. Like, I mean, Sheldon Jean's already in TNA, but let's have the Rogue Squadron be a new tag team. Because trust me, TNA needs to have more tag teams right now for both the men's and the women's division right now. Like, not the men's is okay because we got tag teams, but hey, it doesn't hurt to have one more. And, Rogue Squadron would fit in perfectly. If we want to get some of these Canadian folks coming through there too, that would be fantastic as well. But yeah, this match was a lot of fun. This match ruled. I loved it so much.
It did. I agree. It's really kind of funny how it was like the opening one was really, really good. The second one was kind of and then this one was really, really good.
Right. And the women's match helped pick it up to take this match to the next level, which we can say for this next one. I had to say, despite, spoiler alert, Jake losing.
Oh no, I was so sad.
This was definitely beef on beef violence. Like, oh my God. So this was for the inaugural, Champions Grail Championship, which I love. I was like, we're just putting out championships now. It's great. So this championship is specifically going to be defended in the Pacific Island West. So Australia, New Zealand, all that good stuff. And I'm not going to lie. I will admit that my personal bias with some of these names too. And then once I heard Mr. Rohan Raja talk, I was like, oh, you a Kiwi, bro. It's fantastic. But this was some meat on meat violence. These two men just straight up destroyed each other. And look, we knew when I see Jake in a match, I'm like, somebody's about to die. Somebody's about to die in this match. But Rohan Raja, I see you, bro. And you kept up with Jake. You went back and forth. Oh my God. Rohan Raja does pick up the victory here, but Yukon Yeti, tell me, this meat on meat violence, was it tasty?
It was. It was very tasty. It was medium rare and juicy. This was it's matches like this. When I look at people go, please tell me again, how is wrestling not homoerotic? Because hello. I'm I mean, truly, it was just it was a feast for the eyes. And both of them, not just in looks, but in skill. It was man, some of those hits that Jake was doing, I was just like, I don't see how Rohan even got up. I was just like, I wouldn't have. And then there was a moment when I was like, man, Rohan Raja is so lucky. He gets to roll around on Jake something. I was just like, ooh, when he was pinning him, I was like, ooh, I wish that was me.
Which we can say for a lot of wrestlers that we reviewed too.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you want to see Yukon Yeti's top 10 wrestlers, he pinned him to the mat. Check out our Patreon so we can get that video rolling.
Because woof, we'll do some wrestling after dark.
Yes, yes. Honestly, coming 2025 in more ways than one, wrestling after dark.
After
BC
dark.
Wrestle Pod after dark.
There we go.
We're putting it on the calendar. Thanks,
Good for you.
Will. Oh man, but outside of that, this actually was a really hard hitting match, and
It was a really good match.
And we talked a little bit off of camera too, because you mentioned that, you know, you were very pleasantly surprised of how hard hitting Canadian wrestling can be. So of course we're used to seeing it from some of the folks we're familiar with. Like we know Jake, we know Josh, we know Speedball, we know they can go. But to see it fully put on display here, specifically in Canada, and Canada, if you will, like I'm just like, yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. Again, Rohan does pick up the victory. He is your new champ. He is your Champion's Grail champion. He's going to be defending this thing all up and down the oceanic states. So Australia, New Zealand, all that good stuff. And I am super excited because I think, you know what? Jake always finds a way. I was like, sir, you are fantastic. Like, I love it. And we need TNA to put you on our screens more. Like, I'm never going to complain. So, Yukon Yeti, any final thoughts about this particular match?
No, other than it was just yummy.
Hey, if anything, you know, we are always on brand here at BC Wrestle Pod.
Yes, we are.
All righty. So we move on to our next match. This was the first real downside for me in this particular match, this particular event.
So dumb.
This was boring. How do you have a boring table? Okay,
so dumb.
so let me set the stage, and then we'll just go in on this
Okay.
match. Okay, so this was a tables match, and this was, you know, a tables match between, you know, the formerly known as the Maharaja in WWE of Jinder Mahal, who is Raj Desi. And again, I said this, you know, at the beginning of this, when WWE was pushing this man, is like, he's from India, he's Indian. I'm like, sir, you are from Canada. Sit down. Like, WWE, what kind of crack are you on? But Raj Desi, who, you know, might I add, I was like, is in fantastic shape, by the way. He looks great. And I was like, damn, Raj, I forgot how tall you are. Because I saw him at GCW when me and Andrew covered it during the summer. I'm like, it's been a while. Damn, you're tall. And so Raj was taking on, I'm gonna be real. This is like my least favorite person in professional wrestling. No, and the crazy thing is I just don't like his character. And unfortunately, me and Andrew had the displeasure of having to talk about him during our latest GCW review because he made an appearance there. But we had a tables match with Raj Desi taking on Bully Ray. This match was not great. I am sorry. This was not.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. It was not good. It was not good. It was so amateur, dare I say. Compared to everything else that was going on this first night, this literally felt like, you know, fifth graders on a playground pushing each other around. I mean, it's literally, I was just like, this is bad. This is so bad. I mean, it was a tables match, and it was like, okay. I really didn't care one way or the other if anybody got hurt. I was just literally like, okay. And then even the shenanigans were stupid. It was like even that couldn't save it for me. I was like, you know, it's like, okay, well, maybe we need some shenanigans to happen. And of course it happened. But even those were just sort of like boring and yawn. I was like, oh, okay, is it over yet? And it was just, it wasn't good. I'll be right up front with it. It was not a good match. It was the worst match of the evening.
I would have to say this was also like, because this would not be the last time these two cross paths, because we'll talk about them in night 2. But between that match on night 2 and this one, this is probably my least favorite match of the whole 2 nights. I'm gonna be all the way 100.
No, it is. Oh, it's the worst.
And it's like, Yeah, I'm just like, I hate this. This is not great. I mean, I'm like, Bully Ray wins through shenanigans, which is also stupid. And normally I'm
Yeah.
here for shenanigans, but this was not fun shenanigans for
No,
me.
it was dumb.
It was
It
kind of
was
dumb.
so dumb.
Yeah. I'm just like, we're done.
But
It's
I will have to
over.
say though, the veins in Raj Desi's arms were sexy as hell. Like I was just like, good lord! Even in the picture there, I'm look at those veins in those arms, man. That is sexy.
That man is ripped. You can grate cheese on those abs too. Just say.
Oh yeah, you could.
But yeah, this match sucked. I was
Yeah,
not impressed.
Nothing was gonna save this match. Nothing.
No. So moving on, because there's nothing else to add.
Nope.
Now this match.
This match was amazing.
Woo! Let me tell you. So this was our semi-main event. So this was just a match. What was at stake is if Mio, well, first of all, Giselle Shaw versus Miyu Yamashita. So if Yamashita won this match, she would make the match for the ROH Women's Championship on night 2 from a 1-on-1 to a triple threat. And so I'm like, I don't think Mio is winning here, but I think this match is going to be great. And my God, these girls, these women tore it down. Listen, we know how good Giselle is, but I feel like this is like, I'm mad. I'm like, TNA, where was this Giselle the whole entire time? Like, this girl came, this was like still the quintessential diva, still has her gimmick and everything, but she was here to knock a bitch out. Like,
she was.
And let me tell you, she was the perfect person to go up against who I know from, Japan and GCW stuff and Mio Yamashita, because this girl can also knock a bitch out. Like,
because the thing about we're like, where was this Giselle Shaw at TNA? And you know what? And it's because, and I'll give him credit for this, Scott D'Amore knows how to program a show, and he knows how to utilize his talent. And this is one of those. And I don't think. And I love TNA, but I don't think TNA utilizes Giselle Shaw at all to her complete and absolute ability. And I think in this one they did. And they put her against Miyu Yamashita, who was amazing, by the way. And man, the friction in this match was just unhinged. I was just like, and I agree. I was like, God, this is Giselle Shaw. She thrives in this. You saw it in this match. I mean, it was like a whole new person. And I was just like, yeah, see, this is what she needed. This right here. This is what she needed. This is what she needs at TNA, is this right here. This powerhouse of a match. They need to put her in a powerhouse position because she is a powerhouse. And I know a lot of people like, well, she's this like lady wrestler. I'm like, yeah, she's a lady wrestler that could rip you in half. But she is so talented. She's so good. She knows her way around the ring. I mean, she knows how to use it. And I think that they just didn't know how to utilize her at TNA. I really don't. I just don't think they knew how to utilize her. And I think, and like I said, this is one thing I'll give Scott D'Amore, is that he knows how to do that. And this was like, if every match was programmed like this one, Giselle Shaw would claw her way to the top. Yeah.
There's not enough words to describe how excited I was with this match. And again, this is the Giselle Shaw that I knew was there. And we kind of saw it when she took on Jordan Grace earlier this year for the Knockouts Championship at No Surrender back in February. But man, she brought the fight to Miyu. Miyu brought the fight to Giselle. Ultimately, Giselle does pick up the victory here. And I was just like, this match was fantastic. I was like, I'm not sure, like, how do we top this? This was my match of the whole entire night. And I'm going to be honest, Will, I think I have to rewatch the Fatal 4-Way from the CMLL Anniversario show, but it is a tie between that match and this match for my match of the year. Good God, these two brought it. So this was it was touted as a AEW International Eliminator match. So if Bailey won, he get to face Takeshita for the championship at some capacity. I figured he wasn't going to win anyways, but Jiminy H. Christmas, did Mike Bailey make me believe? Like, these two went to war, and I was just like, this match was brutal. There's so many false finishes. Everybody's bodies were being thrown around. Speedball Mike Bailey is out here kicking people's heads in. Takeshita is knocking people out with the lariats. This was my favorite match of the whole entire two nights, and this is at the top of my year. And I told Andrew this. I think depending on what goes down at Bound for Glory this weekend, I think Speedball might be my top wrestler of the year for me, because this kid, Mike Bailey, does not have a bad match. Like, oh my God! And for me, over at AEW land here on BC WrestlePod, we have always wanted Takeshita to win a championship, and now that he finally has one, he has proven why he deserves to be a champion. Because good God, this kid is also great. He's in his 20s still. Will, Takeshita is still in his 20s, and he and Speedball put on like a classic. Like, they have been feuding for years. Oh my God. Will, like, walk me through this. How did we feel about this?
Well, I did not know Takeshita. I'd never heard of him. So I was like, oh, okay. This looks, he seems intense. However, he does need to get rid of his Harry Potter wannabe guy, though. That
Don Callis?
Yeah, he needs to go away. But I was like, this match, this match blew me away, man. Every time Mike Bailey fights someone like this, it always takes me back to him and Will Ospreay's fight. How epic that was. And this was, I agree. I think this was pretty on par with that. It was super, like, this was again an edge of the seat kind of match. You know, like, oh my God. It's like, it was crazy. And I figured that Mike was not going to win this one, but man, they played it to where you didn't know. I was like, well, maybe he will win it. And I was like, but then of course, then the ending happened, and I was like, okay, well, I mean, which totally made sense. But I was just like, I mean, there was a moment there though. I was just like, is he gonna win this? I was like, because they had been all night. They had been, oh, excuse me, I got something in my eye. They had been pumping Takeshita up like all night long. Like, I have never in my life. I mean, out of everybody in the first evening, Takeshita was the only wrestler that they were constantly pumping. If you notice it, and if it wasn't him, it was his Harry Potter reject wannabe person. But I was just like, wow, they're really pumping this kid up. So he must be gonna win something big tonight. That's all I kept thinking. And then he like won this match. I mean, now I will tell you, this was not an easy match to win, because then they were both just tore up at the end. I mean, just tore up. And it was so good. It was such a good match. Such a good match. We need more matches like this.
And you know what? I'm going to be honest, because I wanted to check out this MLP show anyways, because, it's Scott D'Amore. Love him, want to support him since, being let go from TNA, being fired from it earlier in the year. But then when they started announcing who is going to be there, I was like, oh, cool. Mike Bailey's going to be there. Takeshita is going to be there. And then I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to have Speedball and Takeshita fight? But they won't do that. And literally a day later, they started announcing matches, and they're like, match is happening on night 1. It's going to be the main event. I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, hold on. Let me get my wallet, buy this pay-per-view. Hey, Will, you were part of the group chat between me, you, and Andrew when I posted this picture. I was just like, it's happening. This is not a drill.
Yeah.
I proverbially creamed myself because I am a wrestling fiend and I love my wrestlers. Takeshita is great. Bailey is great. And when this match was announced, I'm like, oh my God, you guys, it's happening.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I'm so happy this delivered, and Bloom also went above and beyond what I wanted from this match too. And I'm super happy with it. Takeshita does pick up the victory here. And this was a long, hard fought victory too, because B-Ball did not let up. And I'm not gonna lie, I would love to see a round 2 down the line at some point between these two.
Takeshita,
so
he earned that win. I mean, that wasn't given to him. He earned that win.
It was so great.
It was so good.
I loved it. And this was definitely a strong way to end night 1. So that leads us into night 2. So this was a Sunday evening, and we kicked things off with another 6-man. This time we took some different folks. We had the returning Jet Setters of Kushida and Kevin Knight teaming up at Aiden Prince to take on Rohan Raju, Rocky Asuka Romero, and one half of the Rogue Squadron and Rohit Raju. And again, this was a really fun match. And I like this match because we got to see a little bit more of Aiden Prince, which I loved. I was like, all right, I like your style, kid. I love you. And of course, I'm biased. I'm super happy that the Jet Setters and Aiden Prince picked up the victory here.
Yeah,
so
me too.
This was a fun opener for night 2 as well.
Yeah, see, again, they started off on this really great note. I was like, okay, all right, this is good. All right. Let's see what we got going.
Exactly. I mean, there's not much to say. It's a 6-man tag. Jet Setters and Aiden Prince win. And then we get into our first championship match of the evening. So I'm going to be honest. I did not know that this promotion existed. But when I saw this, I was like, okay, just because of the characters alone, I'm kind of here for this match. And so this one was interesting because this was for the QPW Qatar Championship, in which we had the current champ in Classy Ali. So I was just like, oh, this is such a Hollywood douchebag character. I'm kind of here for it. Taking on El Uno Reverso. That's not really his name, but this was a fun match too. And I was just like, El Reverso, I dig you. I want to see more of you.
Yeah.
But again, look at just from the shades and the gloves alone. I also love Classy Ali as well. I was like, this is a character match, and I loved it.
Oh yeah. It's so funny. These titles, there's so many, these titles get ridiculous. I mean, some of them get ridiculous. It's like, what the hell is the QPW Qatar Championship?
I'm pretty sure it's like an independent promotion in Canada, but yeah, I was just like, all these acronyms are kind of getting out of hand.
They are. They're getting way out of hand. It's like, oh God, what is this one? The LMNOP Championship? What? I don't know. But it was a fun match. I mean, it was fun. It wasn't like anything to write home about, but it was fun.
And hey, shout out to El Reverso because he's the new QPW Qatar champion.
Yeah.
So
way to do it, dude.
This was fun. So from here, yes, this match was fun as well. Lady Luck teaming up with Harley Cameron of AEW, taking on Miyu Yamashita and Smiley Kylie Ray. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I was so happy that we would get to see Kylie not on one, but on both nights. And also, it was a very nice surprise because this match was made like at the end of night 1 for night 2. And so I was just like, way to utilize your women's talent, man. Like the girls who performed are still here. And so put them on the show. Yep. Again, this is a really fun tag team match. And I am super happy. Spoiler alert, Miyu and Kylie pick up the victory here. And I'm just like, I like when Kylie got angry in this match because then she hulked out. She hulked out. Like, And those are one of my favorite character tropes. You have the smiley, bubbly girl, but don't make her mad because then she will
'cause it
turn
turns into the
into
Incredible Hulk.
yeah, and like smiley Kylie smash.
He's like, you won't like me when I'm angry.
No,
It's like, no, I really do like you when you're angry. Do it again.
do it again. Hit it harder, harder.
Yep. So this one was a fun match. This was fun. I mean, it was more. I mean, I thought it was more exciting than the one previous to it, but
That's fair.
and Miyu Yamashita, I really like her a lot.
I'm like, see, I'm spoiled because I do GCW with Andrew, so Mew will pop on GCW. Also, Will, I'm gonna send you a video if I can. I may have found my other favorite Japanese women's wrestler. I mean, I say that every time we do, but there's this one wrestler who appears in GCW from time to time, Rina Yamashita, who is also there. So she's also great. Oh my goodness, she's fantastic. But anyways, Smiley, Kylie, and Mew pick up the victory in a very fun tag team match, which, again, similar to night one, we had a fun opener. The, championship match was pretty decent. This definitely started to pick up the energy. And this definitely helped with this 6-man scramble. So this was just a match just because everybody was fighting. So 5 out of the 6 participants were returning from night one. And then we have one new person who I am familiar with from, Evil Uno's from AEW's Mystery Wrestling, which is very comedy based. So this had Jake Something, Trevor Lee, Stu Grayson, Sheldon Jean, from your favorite Taco Bell, Alex Zane, and Psycho Mike Rollins, who, listen, if he was a theater kid as a professional wrestler, this is it, because commentary pointed out he kept playing to the hard cam the whole entire time. And I'm just like, he's stupid, but I love it so much. But man, this was a speedy, like flying of bodies all over the place. Like, Lord
Brutal.
have mercy. This match rolled.
It did. This was so good. I mean, it was brutal. This was probably far more brutal than I think any other match. Because man, I mean, all of them were heavy hitters. Even Alex Zane, he got some good licks in. But I mean, like Jake and Stu and Mike, man, they were, and Sheldon actually. Sheldon got some good licks in there too. But they were like tanks, man. They were just rolling over each other constantly.
Everybody had like 5,000 gallons of gas and they kept going.
Yep.
Nobody looked like they were having a hard time keeping up. And then, of course, my favorite spot was the Psycho Mike continuing like body slams. And then he stacked everybody on top of each other. And I'm just like, never change wrestling. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
But hey, and speaking of Psycho Mike, he does pick up the win. So your winner of the 6-man match is Psycho Mike Rollins. I loved it so much. This was so good.
It was really good.
And so was this one. Oh my God.
Yeah, this one was actually pretty good too.
This was a lot of fun. So I knew this match was going to be a little bit different than what we saw in night one, whereas Bailey and Takeshita went to brutalize each other. Bailey and El Fantasmo, who was also known as ELP, they're like, all right, which one of us is going to fly off the most stuff?
Yeah.
I'm like, for me, ELP, I feel like doesn't get enough credit. He has been a big staple over in New Japan, and Mike Bailey continues to be amazing. So this was your typical high flyer match, and I thought this was fun.
Yep.
ELP surprises me because I know he's very acrobatic. I was like, damn, I forgot how many maneuvers you can do in the air. And Speedball, like, you have like too many things in your arsenal because you keep showing me things that I have not seen. And I was just like, sir, how much more tricks do you have in the bag? Which makes me excited though, because, I thought I knew everything Mike Bailey can do. Apparently I was wrong, and I'm happy I'm wrong, because Mike Bailey, I need you to pull everything in the kitchen sink out this Saturday when you go up against El Hijo del Vikingo. Like, oh my God, that match is about to be on and popping. But this was a really fun acrobatic aerial type of match. And you know what? Speedball Mike Bailey does pick up the victory. So he does walk out of MLP with 1-1. So I will say it's a successful night for him. and he looked strong even in his loss in night 1. And ELP did a fantastic job. I thought this was fun.
Yep, I did too. I liked it a lot. I don't know anything about ELP, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this fight a lot. Probably one of my favorite matches of the evening.
Yeah, night 2, this was definitely a lot of fun. And I was just like, you know what? The night 2 has, it hasn't been as hard hitting as night 1, but I'm enjoying myself. So you know what? I could be in for a really great bout. It's about to be good. Like, we're fine watching it. And then this match happened. And I'm just like, I'm happy that Raj Bhupinder won, but Jesus H. Christmas. I do not care for this match. I do not care for the heel team. QT Marshall doesn't bother me as much, but Bully Ray bothers the hell out of me. And I don't care. People are like, oh, you need to get, past your biases and be critical. I can critique. There are just some people in wrestling that you don't like. I don't like Chris Jericho. I don't like Bully Ray. They're at the top of my shit list for me. And Bully Ray can never make me like him. Now, I will say, and he has changed a bit, but his character choice of being such a misogynistic asshole, I was like, I'm yelling at my television screen. I'm yelling at a ring announcer, Sam. I'm like, just deck him in the face, kick him in the nards, like punch his lights out.
I know, right?
But shout out to Sam too, because she used to be in WWE and in TNA as well. I was like, I like her ring style announcement. Like, it's so good. But I'm like, Sam, punch him in the face, kick him in the nards, like poke his eyes out, do something. Because I was so uncomfortable with Bully Ray doing his own introduction in this match, being very misogynistic, calling her toots and everything. I was just like, get this man off my screen right now. I'm looking at Raj and Bhupinder. I'm like, I need you to beat his ass.
And we've talked about this in the past that, characters like this are outdated. I mean, you create a character like that just so that you can stir shit up. I mean, that's all it's for.
Spoiler alert.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, spoiler alert, we're going to bring this back up tomorrow evening on our TNA review because I have the same issue with the King, Frankie Kazarian, right now. But that's for tomorrow's discussion. But it's the same vein.
Yeah, but
Bully Ray just grosses me out.
Well, it's like that character is so outdated. It's irrelevant today. And like I said, the only reason you would make a character like that is because you literally just want to piss people off. That's it. I mean, truly. And I'm just like, come on, man. There was only one time that I really liked him, and that was in that one match. Oh, was that Bound for Glory, actually? Was it the one that they did the
the Call Your Shot Gauntlet?
Yeah, the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. That was the only time for that brief moment between him and I think it was Jordan Grace.
There were two moments in that match, from last year.
That was it.
He had that moment where he kind of put over Sonny Kiss when they did that little dance off because we love Sonny in this household. And then Jordan Grace beat his ass to win the match.
So that was the only time that I actually liked the guy for that brief moment was with him and Sonny. And I was like, oh, that's fun. And then it was like, okay, now you're right back to who you were. Now Jordan Grace, kick his ass.
Do it. I was like, do it.
So, yay.
But thankfully, Raj and Bhupinder do pick up the victory here. I love watching Bhupinder in this match come out basically in a Canadian hockey jersey, which I was just like, now, if MLP wants my money, you will make an MLP specific wrestling logo hockey jersey, and I will wear that thing with pride. For reals. I love me a good baseball and hockey jersey. So I need wrestling companies to bring those back, like for real. But
seriously,
this match was not it. Happy that Raj and Bhupinder won. Don't want to talk about it anymore.
Nope. Oh, let's talk about this one though.
Holy shit. Okay. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Takeshita and Josh Alexander in the main event. But when I tell you, Will, this was my match of night 2. Like,
it was mine too. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So this was for the ROH Women's World Championship. This is Athena, our longest reigning ROH champion, period, regardless of men or women's division. She is the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion, period, but she's also the longest reigning ROH women's champion. And she is taking on the challenger, Giselle Shaw. These girls, this match felt like there was beef, and they each other like were trying to, they each owed lunch money to the other, or these girls like were fighting like there was actual like issues between the two of them. And I'm gonna let Will talk about it, but I could drop my one curse word of the evening. That I fucking love Athena so much. She is the brightest spot for ROH, who is kind of going through a struggle right now over the last couple of months, but she is probably the best thing that is she is carrying ROH right now on her back, like, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And she is just a phenomenal wrestler in general. Like, she surprises me with her unique offense. I love her. She is the goddess, the fallen goddess character, which is my favorite. And you know what, though? Giselle gave it to her. Also, I love that Athena calls all her opponents porcelain hussies, which is a very fun way. I was like, I have never heard somebody use the term hussies like that, and I'm here for it. Put it on a t-shirt. But my God, these two women they tore the roof off. They burnt it down. They rebuilt it and burnt it off again. Like, this was what the kids call a slobber knocker. And this was a barn burner of a match. Jesus. This is definitely in my top matches for the year for women's side. So I got to go back and watch this. But I'm going to let my co-host Will talk about it, because this is your first real introduction to Athena. And so I want you to... So, Will, what did you think about the match? And then, just give your thoughts of your first impression of Athena.
Okay. Well, the match, this was my match of the night too, of course, but and man, it was on fire. God bless. I mean, this was like, these two women were fighting each other like oil and water, man. I mean, there was no sticking to it, and they were just on top of each other constantly, and this was I thought this match was more brutal than any of the other matches of this whole evening, if not the whole thing. And we had a couple of brutal ones in the first night, but this one was, man, you're right. This was like they were fighting like one of them cheated on the other one, whether there was somebody's boyfriend, I don't know, but this was like high school fighting, like high school girls in the hallway fighting. I mean, it was personal, and I loved it. And now Athena, holy Jesus. I mean, I didn't know who she was. This was my first introduction to her. So I was like, oh, okay, let's see what she's all about. Okay, she's got attitude. I kind of like that, and man, she was tearing it up. And let me tell you, Giselle Shaw was keeping up too. I'll give it to her. This match, man, I was amazed that Athena was walking at the end of it, because they were expelling so much energy and physical strength. And it was just so like, I was exhausted watching it. I could only imagine how they were actually feeling at the end of that match, because it was like, wow. And I feel that the win was totally right, totally justified. Everything. I didn't, because sometimes I think, well, Giselle should have really won that because of this, that, and that. No. In the end, Athena was like, she was it. And, and Giselle Shaw, who I love, I think was like, no, okay, this one's yours. Yeah, it was so good. And Athena is like one of my favorites now. I love her.
So I am definitely, this weekend I'm going to send you, because Athena was part of not last year's, but the year before, 2022, before this was a whole official thing for us. Athena was part of my favorite women's match of 2022 at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view Death Before Dishonor, where she defended this championship against Willow Nightingale. And those two women burnt the house down. Like, it was like a 45-minute match, and it was also a barn burner too. Like, it was so good. Like, there are so many good Athena matches. Like,
Right.
I'll have the ROH boys send you a list, because Athena has defended this thing so many times, and there are so many good matches
Okay.
on this list. So if you love Athena here, you're gonna love her in all those other matches. But yeah,
Awesome.
Athena is that girl. She is so fantastic. This was an absolute amazing match, and I felt bad for what came after this in our main event, but this was just as good. I like this match. This is definitely a type of brutality different than what we saw with Takeshita and Bailey, because this was just two pure powerhouses.
Yeah.
So this was for the AEW International Championship, and this was Konosuke Takeshita, the champion, taking on the challenger and Mr. Walking Weapon himself, Josh Alexander. My God, these two are just pure beef on beef violence. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Takeshita's a big boy, man.
That man is like 6'2". He is like
Yeah.
26. And I'm just like,
He is a big dude.
and he hits hard, which,
Yep.
you know, is kind of typical for Japanese wrestlers to hit hard in general. But like, he has such a way where he like executes his moves that look so much more brutal than they really are, because he
Right.
knows how to hit the body right to make the sound effects sound a lot worse than it actually is. But
Right.
we also know Josh is also no slouch either, because this man was like putting this kid through the ringer as well.
Oh, yeah.
And again, Takeshita did win, but it took him everything to keep Josh down. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Takeshita barely walked out of this one the winner, but you know what? I think this was fantastic. Normally I don't like seeing our TNA folks lose on these types of things, but honestly, for Takeshita, I think beating Bailey and beating Josh Alexander definitely helps build his resume, because he's an up-and-coming young star in
Right.
wrestling in general. And so
Well, I
having
mean-
big wins about like staples of like
Yeah.
vets, if you will, from these other companies is important. But damn, this match was crazy.
Well, it also makes sense that Josh Alexander would not win this title. I mean,
He's not
it
in
made
AEW.
sense. I mean, it made sense. So I was like, okay. I mean, even going into it, I was like, okay, Josh is not winning this match. So it's just like, but he's gonna make him earn it though, because that's what he did. I mean, that's the good thing I love about Josh, is he doesn't hold back. He's like, you know what? If you're gonna get in this ring with me, I'm bringing it. So you better bring it too. And that's exactly what we saw. So it was a really good match. The match prior to it though was way better.
Yeah, and I was like, these boys did great, but they definitely had a tough time going up. I'm not gonna lie, if this was semi and we kind of switched the two matches around, I think I would have probably given night 2 the edge over night 1.
Yeah,
because I also
agree.
consider like order of card and everything as part of the
Yeah.
grades. But fantastic match. Takeshita does win. We do have a little bit of a scuffle at the end, because Takeshita and Don Phallus, as we call him, because he's bald headedness in him, he literally looks like a dickhead, so we call him Don Phallus on the AEW review. But they start beating up on Josh Alexander, and then he is saved by Ricochet, which is setting up things going on in AEW right now. So, but that does end, and we reach the end of the Forge and Excellence. So normally here on Grapple Gurus, we would normally at this point of the show give our final empanada ratings for a pay-per-view, but I want to do something different, because this is the first show for this promotion of the revitalized Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. So, I mean, I gave both nights B pluses in my opinion. When I did the recap cards, I thought this was a strong show, but I don't want to just give it a show. I want to talk about some of the highlights, and then moving forward, what we would like to see if MLP is to become like a major staple in the wrestling scene right now. Because again, I wanted to watch this because I wanted to support Scott D'Amore, who has done an incredible job with TNA over the last couple of years to bring it to where it is now. And then, I wanted to support him. And then there was a lot of talent that we know and love from TNA and other places too that we wanted to see. But, so the things I liked, again, because I watch too much wrestling, which is a detriment sometimes. But I love it though, because it's like people like Will and some other folks where through osmosis we get to learn from each other. So there was a lot of fun. The 2 nights itself, some of the high points, definitely a lot of great action. There's a lot of fun matches. Again, Takeshita versus Bailey and Athena versus Giselle are in my top 3 matches of the whole year, which is crazy to think because this is just the first show for MLP. I thought, despite some of the matches, like me not liking some of the matches of what happened, I don't feel like they weren't great, but I also felt like I didn't waste my time watching 3 hours of wrestling of each night. So 6 hours of wrestling total. I didn't feel like I wasted my time like I do sometimes watching other stuff. So I will say the biggest critique I have is now that we've gotten this first show out of the way, if Scott D'Amore plans for MLP to be like a thing and to have a consistency to it, if he's trying to make this into a, televised programming, or, go the route of like GCW where we just have shows ever so often to continue storylines, we need to have, and I'm going to be stealing Will's thunder here, but he can explain it better than I can. We need a consistent roster of folks who are going to be specifically our MLP folks. So, of course, this show had a lot of folks from AEW and TNA and just from the major names in Canada wrestling right now. But I would like to see, folks who are in Canada be a part of MLP and be our little core group. Like, funny enough, I would pick names like an El Reverso or, some of the, if we wanted to, hell, let's get Smiley Kylie in there. Like, let's have people who are going to be consistent characters across these pay-per-views, if that's the model we're going with, because then we can put an identity and a face to MLP. Be like, oh yeah, when we talk about MLP, they got like El Reverso, Smiley Kylie, and some like folks who can be the faces for MLP if we wanted to. So that's my only biggest critique. Again, because this is the first show, I totally get why we borrowed folks. But moving forward, I would love to see a consistency of who we want to be like our folks for Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling and like the quote unquote locker room for whatever direction we want to go with. So I will tag in the Yukon Yeti himself to give his positives and critiques as well. So, Will, what you got for MLP?
Well, I thought that for the most part, it was pretty exciting for, a sort of inaugural launch, I guess, a soft launch or an official launch, whatever this is. I thought that for the most part, I thought the cards were pretty good. There were the ones that were kind of like, meh, probably could have done without them. And I also was like, this could have probably been like a one night event if I had gotten rid of some of the trim the fat, so to speak. And I mean, I would have rather have had a single like 4-hour pay-per-view than 2 3-hour pay-per-views, because even though I didn't mind watching 6 hours of wrestling, because I didn't, I felt that there were moments where my time could have been used better. But again, I thought that the talent was amazing. I knew a lot of the folks that were coming in. I got to meet new people, which was really exciting. So that was really cool. And then, and I can't even really I can't really diss them on the card choices, because sometimes you just have a poor choice. It happens. Was it intentional? Probably not. It was probably like, oh, I bet you this would be a great one. And it just fizzles out. I agree with everything that Mikey said about if this is going to be an ongoing thing, which I kind of hope it is. They really need to start, and this would have been the perfect the perfect platform for it to start introducing MLP specific wrestlers. And maybe they did, and we don't know. Like you said, like Smiley Kylie and El Reverso or whatever. Maybe some of those people are already on tap, and they just didn't. They're not announcing it until they're quote unquote official. I don't know. But I mean, I hope they do, because I think it. Plus, Scott D'Amore is at the helm. It's going to be good. And I can see them. If they had their own core sort of roster, and then you bring in like the Josh Alexanders every once in a while, or the Mike Baileys, and do like a, on a pay-per-view, and have them come in and do something, or whatever, come in on an episode. That would be fun. Because it is a Canadian company, and why wouldn't you invite all the Canadians to come wrestle? Absolutely, I would. And I just really hope that if excuse me, that if they are going to create something that's going to be like a weekly program, they need to like nail down their roster pretty quick, I think. So people can start like kind of getting on board with them, because and it's going to be rough probably at the beginning if that's what they're going to do, because you're starting fresh, you're creating brand new storylines, we're introducing brand new characters, so I think it might be a little slow moving at first, and maybe that's why they did this big pay-per-view, maybe to kind of get people kind of like psyched about it. But my biggest fear, though, is that people think that it's going to be Josh Alexander, Mike Bailey, Kushida. It's going to be these guys in MLP like all the time.
Right.
That was my only thing.
Which, as much as we love them, they are currently signed with TNA. So
yeah,
and I know they love Scott, and they did it as a favor for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do hope that we build a roster of some. I mean, I know some of them, but like some newer stars, so that way they can rise through the ranks and become staples, like you said, in MLP. Again, El Reverso, Smiley Kylie. I mean, I know she is in Japan, but like if you wanted to bring in Miyu Yamashita for a little bit as well to do a small little stint, I would love to see her there. And, there's a lot of different choices, but I agree with you on that.
Yeah, then they can like eventually they can get their own belt and their own championships, and that'd be great. I mean, I can't imagine Canada wouldn't want it.
So but overall, I had such a great time, diving into something new. I'm super happy that I decided to give this a chance, because I enjoyed it. And now I'm going to be following MLP to see what they do coming off of the show, because, outside of our critiques, I've seen some other folks who, give this a shot and they liked what they've seen. So hopefully this bodes well for MLP, and hopefully its future we're here, because I would love to cover another MLP show when they have one, whenever that one is down the line. And of course, that the Maple Marks will be back to review it again, because I think it is a fun, and we can treat this like we do at GCW, where we do some of the, ever so often we will do MLP reviews, which is fantastic. But that's going to be it here for Grapple Gurus. This was a lot of fun, Will. Thank you so much for doing this with me tonight. And, normally I would say you are done for the week, but oh no, because we're going to be spending so much time together in the next 3 days. And I apologize in advance.
It's okay.
But you might be wondering to yourself, what are you talking about? So normally I kind of don't do this, but I think it's warranted, because we are kind of ending the month of October with TNA's last big 4 pay-per-view of the year. I mean, we still got 2 more after it, but this is like the big one, their last big 4. This Saturday, October 26th, is going to be TNA's Bound for Glory pay-per-view, which is going to be fantastic, I think. There's a lot of great matches on there. And so the reason I am bringing this up, because if you have nothing planned for the weekend, if you have no lives like I do, and, Will and Andrew, apparently, who don't have any lives and decided to agree to do this with me. So unfortunately, they're being thrown into this mix. But I'm happy that they decided to do this with me because I can do this by myself, but it's boring if I do it by myself. But Saturday, October 26th, we are going to, here at BC WrestlePod, we are going to be having a live watch along of TNA's Bound for Glory. We're going to be covering the pre-show and the actual main card because we have the Call Your Shot gauntlet on the countdown show. And I spoke too soon because TNA, you wait until forever. But we also got another match added to the pre-show. It's going to be Ash by Elegance and her new protege, Heather Reckless, taking on Zaya Brookside and NXT's Brinley Reese after what happened on tonight's TNA show, which is fantastic. But then we also get a lot of matches, and they're all going to be great. We're getting a Monsters Ball match. Our Knockouts Tag Team match championships are on the line. And we have 3 matches that are worthy of the main event. So Saturday, we're going to do a watch along. It's going to be great. That review will go on Sunday and then the evening, and I'm super excited for it. So, Will, you're going to be seeing a lot more of our Yukon Yeti here. And also, I am super excited because his schedule has lined up for it. Our other co-host, TNA brother, who has been missing for a bit, Andrew, will be back into the fold of TNA, and he will be doing the watch along and the review with us. And I am super excited. I cannot wait. But that's going to be it here for Grapple Gurus. For myself and Will, your Maple Marks, and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family. Remember, take care of yourself. Love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. You can catch us tomorrow for ROH and for TNA reviews. But until then, sayonara, adios, and we are sorry about it. See you later.